All right, hey everybody. I'm just gonna quickly go over my playoff bracket, my preseason playoff bracket for 2022, or excuse me, 2023-2024 season. We're already getting into close to preseason time, so I thought it'd be good. In lieu of a new episode this week, just because I was unable to get my schedule with Dean and our hopeful guest for next week to line up. So I'm just going to quickly go over what I've got here for my bracket. So um, you'll see I've already got my cup winner picked, which I don't think is a crazy pick, but we'll just start by going through the teams and who I picked and why I picked them. We'll start. So we see here we've got the Maple Leafs as the President's Trophy winner for this season. They've continued to go up in the standings the past couple of years. They had 111 points last year, and they just bolstered their roster even more. We'll see how they are able to trim it down in order to get cap compliant, but for right now, they're looking like a really, really strong regular season team. So that's why I've got them as a President's Trophy winner, and obviously the one seed in the East. And then for the other one seeds, so I have the Stars as the one seed in the West. That's why they're playing the wild card two team here, the Flames, and then the other one seeds for the individual conferences, or excuse me, divisions would be the Oilers, number one in the Pacific. I don't think that's much of a crazy take either. And then the Devils, I have taken the Metro. So, um, again, yeah, I don't think I'm really, going off the board a ton here, but this is what I've got. And then, so I've got the Maple Leafs facing off against the wild card two Bruins. I still think that they're a playoff team despite all the losses this year with Bergeron and Krejci and some other depth guys, but they've brought in some other people, and I've already talked that I think that they're still good enough to make it through, and then I've got the Panthers at number two, and I've actually got Sabres not as a wild card spot, but I do have them third in the Atlantic. I just really like the Sabres this year, and I'm pretty high on them. So I don't have them advancing in the playoffs, but at least just getting there will be a huge milestone for Buffalo fans. And so obviously that's not the outcome they'd be looking for, but it would be nice to see them there. We'll go down here. So I didn't really need to scroll, but I've got the Devils facing off against the Lightning. So I toyed with having the Lightning drop out altogether, but I just like their team, like what they've got in their top six, and their decor is still super solid. Obviously, they've still got Vasilevsky, so I just have a hard time getting there with them completely dropping out of the playoff race. Despite how tight the East is going to be this year, I've still got them pulling through, but I don't have them advancing as well. And then 2-3 here, we got Carolina and the Rangers. So Islanders, I've already mentioned them before, but I don't have them coming back. I still think they're going to be decent, but it's just such a tough year for the East, and the West will be tough too, but I don't think the competition is nearly at the same level where all of these teams continue to improve. So I've got Hurricanes over Rangers, and then let's just shift gears. We'll go talk about the West. So yeah, like I already mentioned, I got the Stars facing off against the wild card two Flames, which Flames might surprise some people, considering what a sort of crazy year they had last year and all the uncertainty going into this season with are they gonna have some of these guys resign like Lindholm and Backlund, and I don't. I mean, they're still on the team at this point, so unless they think that they can move some of these guys at the deadline if they're not doing well, I've got them still there. And they had a really unlucky season last year. Like, they had a ton of overtime and shootout losses that I don't think will be nearly as high. I think they'll be able to pull out some wins this year, and from what I've just heard about the team, it seems like they're pretty excited about what they have, even though they didn't make the playoffs last year. They were really close. I think they were only 1 point out, or they were very close with Nashville as well. So I've got them coming back, and I've got Winnipeg falling out, which initially I did have Winnipeg still making it, but I looked at the Flames core and the Jets core, and just comparing them, I just felt strongly about Calgary, and they've got some young guys who I think will finally break through. It's been really tough for Calgary prospects to get into the lineup. They haven't. I think they've had like maybe a couple guys for their first round picks actually play games. Like I think it was like from 2018. All of their first round picks have just like not played at all. So they're steadily, very slowly getting them into the system. I think we'll see some of those guys finally break through this year and hopefully have a good year. Then I've still got the Avs doing really well. They're gonna have probably a good season. Gabriel Landeskog still won't be back, but they made some interesting moves. They got Miles Wood, and they grabbed Drouin, and Johansson might work out as well. So we'll see about them. I've got them moving on over Minnesota. Unfortunately for Minnesota, another first round exit in my eyes. They're still a playoff team, I think, just because I don't think the Central is super strong this year. I mean, Nashville could still make a case, and maybe St. Louis too, but probably not at this stage. I think they're sort of in a weird flux state. St. Louis is. So I've got the Wild with enough pieces to make it through, but yeah, it's been tough for them to actually win in the playoffs, and that's what I've got continuing this year for them. And then got the Kraken facing off against the Oilers. I think they're still good, and they made some decent moves. They lost a couple of guys. They lost Sprong and some other folks, but they had a couple good additions, and maybe the young guys will continue to break through. Maybe we get a full year of Shane Wright, or get maybe like half a season or something like that. So we'll see how they look. And then I've got Vegas making it also, but I think a lot of people are expecting maybe a little bit of a drop off with the cup hangover sort of thing. And yeah, Edmonton's probably going to be really strong. And then I toyed with not having the Kings make it, but they did bolster their roster this year with the Dubois trade, even though they lost some depth guys there, and Velarde and Kupari. But overall, I think they're still good enough to at least make it through. So that's all the teams. Indicated here in the numbers is the number of games I have them needing to advance. So I've got the Stars over the Flames in 6 games, and then the Avs over the Wild in Game 7. And then coming down here, I've got the Oilers getting pushed to 7, but still moving on. And then Vegas handles LA in 6. We'll just finish up the West here. So I've got Stars moving on in 5. I think they're just super solid. Obviously, you can see here I've got them as my eventual Cup champions, which I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of people kind of see the writing on the wall with, the young team that they have, the young core, and great goaltending, great defense. So they've got a lot of solid pieces. I do have the Oilers making the comeback and getting their revenge on Vegas. So I don't have Vegas repeating this year. It's certainly possible, but it's just so hard to do, and it's so hard to predict for sure what's going to happen. But this is what I've got. I've got them losing in another tight series here in 7, and then Dallas getting back to the Cup final against the Oilers in 6. And then, so I do have the Maple Leafs losing to the Bruins, obviously, in 7, because that's how it goes. And I know that might seem kind of outlandish, but that's just I just have a feeling about the Bruins, and that seems to be how they operate, especially when they're not necessarily taken as seriously as they probably should. Um, so I've got them advancing, and then the Panthers taking on the Sabres, who I think will be strong in the regular season, but they might just not have that playoff experience to get them through. But it could be the start of something big for them. So I've got the Panthers going on in 5. I don't. You'll notice I don't have any sweeps, which I don't know. It's so hard to tell if a team's gonna sweep because all of these teams are obviously playoff caliber teams. They're in the playoffs, so it's tough to say like, oh yeah, they're just gonna get completely dismantled once they get there. So I don't have any sweeps, but I do have the Devils advancing against Tampa. Another first round exit for Tampa. Although they're I haven't pushed to 7. I think that would be a great series. Be really excited to see that. I mean, I'd like to see pretty much all of these. There aren't too many matchups here that I don't think would be very interesting, except for maybe Stars Flames would be kind of. And it is a repeat of some other like they have played them in recent playoff history, so there's a little bit of bad blood there. But yeah, I think all of these series would be awesome, and then another Hurricanes Rangers series, and I do have the Rangers losing. It's so tough because those are two really good teams. So I do have Carolina coming out in the end though, and to face off against Devils and another second round exit for New Jersey. It doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to be better this year. It's just sometimes that happens where the better team just doesn't quite make it through. And yeah, the Hurricanes have been knocking at the door for a while. But I do not have them advancing to the Cup final again. I have them losing once more in the conference finals. So sorry, Hurricanes fans. That is where I have them going right now. And yeah, so I have Boston advancing. They beat the Panthers. They go all the way to the final, which again, I think it's not necessarily a very sexy pick to have the Bruins go all the way with how they dropped off, but sometimes that just happens, and maybe that's a little bit of I want them to do well, and I would like to project my feelings for the Bruins onto the prediction, but I don't know. It's so tough to tell. I mean, you look at the Kings runs that they had when they won the cups, and a lot of people were not projecting that. So, especially with Florida going all the way to the final last year, it really shows you that you just gotta get in and you believe in your team and you can do great things in the playoffs. So, my eventual cup final matchup is Stars versus Bruins, and I've got Stars taking it in 6. I think that would be a really fun series. I know my friend Dean would really like that because, you guys know Dean, but I think that would be a really fun matchup. His other team is the Stars. Obviously, he would like to see the Bruins win, but I think he would be very happy for Dallas fans if they were able to pull through. So this is what I've got. I did want to mention a couple fringe playoff teams that I ended up not going with. So I already talked about Winnipeg. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think they might have a couple of slumps, and they ended up maybe selling some pieces at the deadline to sort of start either a retool or maybe the start of a long rebuild. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're necessarily in rebuild mode with how they're going into the off season, but we'll see. That's why they play the games. And then I was close to having Arizona in there too, which I mentioned before that I think they're getting closer than some people might think, but I just couldn't get all the way there with having them break through and get the playoffs. But they're probably going to be closer than a lot of people expect. So that's what I've got for the West. Those are the only two real teams that I was considering. I thought about Nashville, but just looking at their forward depth, I wasn't in love with it. I don't think Ryan O'Reilly's going to be as big of a factor in terms of point production as some might think. I mean, he's obviously a name brand player, Stanley Cup winner, but his production starting to drop off. You could tell a little bit in Toronto last year. Um, so I just don't have them making it, even though they've got Saros there. I think if they made the playoffs, he could do something there, but it's just so tough to rely on him for 50, 60 games and expect them to do well with what they've got going. And then as far as the East goes, Islanders were still in consideration. I like their goalie tandem still, and their D is good. Hopefully they get a full year of Barzell and they get some solid offensive production for once. But I just can't get all the way there. So I'm sorry to Zane for saying that, but they are still going to be a team to not mess around with in the regular season. They're not going to get pushed over, but I just don't have them making it. And then the other teams I was sort of toying with, thought about Ottawa, and I think they will be better this season. But gosh, it's so tough, and I'm still uncertain about their goalie situation, and so for those reasons I can't really fully get there. But they're gonna have some monster players coming up, and if it's not this year, there's a good chance it is next year. They just locked up Jake Sanderson to that 8-year deal, so that's great. So we'll see. I think the future is bright for them. And I'm trying to think if I had any other teams in consideration. I was looking at the Penguins too. They are going to get better this year with Carlson, but they're just older, and if they have a couple of derailing injuries or something, which I don't know if it's like a bit of a cop out to say that they could have injuries. Like every team could have injuries, but I'm just not sold on them. They did make some solid moves though. So I could be wearing egg on my face come April time, but I didn't have them making it. So that's what I've got. I'd love to see your guys' predictions in the comments, and please, if you like this content, if you like my podcasts and my little videos here, if you wouldn't mind throwing a subscription my way, it helps me out a ton just to get more people involved. I don't make any money off these videos, obviously, at this time. I barely get any people really tuning in, but anything helps to just get more people watching. So that's all I've got for today, and hopefully new episode of the podcast next week. But we just weren't able to get something lined up for this week. But we're getting closer and closer to the season here, and maybe we'll see if Dean has his full playoff bracket ready. Actually, I think this one here is still his. I changed all the numbering, but I think I'm the only one who's actually updated theirs yet. Everything else is from last season. So that's all I've got. I'll see you guys next time.